Good evening, traveler. It is I, the Midnight Owl. Once again, you have found your way back to the firelight, where tales linger like shadows and dreams rise with the smoke. If this story brings you comfort, then return when the night calls, for there will always be another tale waiting. Tonight we descend into a kingdom beneath the earth, a kingdom of silence, of secrets, of glory long past. Tonight I shall tell you the story of Hallownest. This is the tale of Hollow Knight, the first game, told as a single journey from the rise of a king to the fall of his realm, from infection to sacrifice. So, rest your weary eyes and listen, for tonight the caverns of Hallownest echo in our dreams. Long ago, deep beneath the surface of the earth, there was a vast cavern, an endless stretch of tunnels, roots, and ancient stone. And in this place, insects and creatures lived as they always had, small, simple, without ambition. But then came the Pale King. He was no ordinary being, but a great worm, ancient and powerful, who shed his old form to become something smaller, more refined. He came not to conquer, but to enlighten. The Pale King built Hallownest, a grand underground kingdom where bugs could rise beyond instinct, beyond hunger, beyond mindless life. Under his guidance, insects gained intelligence, society, and dreams of purpose. And for a time, Hallownest flourished. A shining city stood at its heart, marble towers rising against cavern ceilings glittering like stars. Tribes and wanderers bent knee to the Pale King, finding a place under his rule. Temples were raised, roads stretched far into the dark. But even the greatest dreams are fragile, for deep below, something older stirred. A force of plague and madness, the infections. It began quietly. An orange glow in the eyes of simple bugs, a strange humming in forgotten corners of the deep nest. Creatures who once lived in peace became violent, their bodies twisted by some unseen hand. The Pale King searched for answers, and he found the truth. The source was not disease, but a god. The radiance, a higher being, a being of light and dreams, long forgotten by the bugs of Hallownest when they turned to the Pale King. But gods do not fade easily. The radiance burned with anger at being abandoned. She spread herself through dreams, infecting minds, corrupting bodies, until her plague threatened to consume all of Hallownest. And so the Pale King conceived a desperate plan. To fight a god of dreams, the Pale King needed more than armies. He needed a vessel. A being that could contain the radiance itself. He and the White Lady, his queen, created countless vessels, pale, silent shells born of void, raised in darkness. Children of shadow, born without mind, without will, without voice. Most were too weak, broken things that stumbled in the abyss. But one stood apart. One was chosen. The hollow night. Empty, silent, pure. The perfect vessel to contain the radiance. With great ceremony the hollow night was bound. The infection was sealed within, locked away with the help of 3 chosen dreamers. Monomon the teacher, Lurien the watcher, and Hera the beast. Hallownest was saved, at least for a time. But silence cannot last forever. The seal weakened. The hollow night faltered, and the radiance stirred once more. Far from the city, above ground in the ruined village of Dirtmouth, an old bug named Elderbug watched as travelers came and went. And one day, another figure descended into the caverns, a small, nameless knight carrying only a nail as a weapon. Silent, pale, unremarkable to the eye, yet destined to walk where others could not. This knight would wander the forgotten roads, through caverns haunted by orange-eyed creatures, across halls echoing with memories of glory and ruin. Each step drew them closer to the heart of Hallownest, and closer to the truth of what they were. Though Hallownest was broken, not all within were lost. The knight met wanderers. Quirrell, a scholar carrying a strange mask, searching for memories half remembered. Cloth, a brave but cheerful warrior seeking her own test of courage. Bretta, a shy bug who dreamed of love. Cornifer, the map maker, as he sketched the forgotten paths. And then there was Hornet, a warrior of sharp skill, protector of Hallownest, who challenged the night time and again. She was not enemy, but rival. She seemed to know more than she would say of the night's nature, of their connection to the hollow night itself. Their paths crossed often, blades clashing in silence. Yet behind her eyes lay something more than hostility. Recognition. The night's journey brought them to the resting places of the 3 dreamers, guardians who sustained the seal binding the hollow night. Monomon, who lay in the teacher's archives preserved in a tank of liquid. Lorien, high in his watcher's spire, gazing endlessly over the ruined city. Hera, deep in the lair of beasts, who had once made a pact with the Pale King to save her people. Each dreamer had given themselves willingly, becoming eternal watchers within the dream. To face the radiance, the night would need to enter their dreams and strike them down. And one by one, they fell. The seals broke. The path to the hollow night opened. As the dreamer seals began to falter, the night journeyed deeper still into Hallownest. They walked through the forgotten crossroads, where once busy paths now lay cracked and broken, filled with creatures consumed by the infection. They delved into the green path, a lush and overgrown land, where plants reclaimed stone and where hornet struck at them for the first time. They crossed the city of tears, Hallownest's capital, forever weeping with endless rain. Here marble towers stretched upward, empty homes stared with hollow windows, and spirits of the past lingered in sorrow. They fought guardians, the false knight, a mad bug wielding armor he did not deserve. The mantis lords, proud and noble, testing the night before granting passage. The dung defender, loyal even in ruin, still guarding the city he once swore to protect. And in every corner, traces of the pale king's dream and his failure were revealed. The deeper the night journeyed, the more they uncovered the truth. They were not the first to walk these paths. Others like them had come before, silent, pale, vessels born of void, but most had fallen. At last, the knight reached the temple of the black egg, where the hollow knight was bound. Through cracks in the great seal, whisperings echoed, a cry, muffled and broken, as if something once silent now struggled to speak. The knight saw the truth. The hollow knight had not been as empty as the pale king had hoped. Though chosen to contain the radiance, the hollow knight carried a flaw, a bond, a memory, a fragment of self. And because of this, the seal was imperfect. The radiance still lingered, the infection still spread, and Hallownest still decayed. The pale king, who had placed all his hope in this one sacrifice, was gone. His kingdom fell into ruin, his dream shattered. And so, the night, another vessel, another child of void, faced a choice. The story of Hallownest does not end with a single ending, but with many possible fates. The sealed siblings. If the knight defeated the hollow knight, they would take their place. Silent, bound, and alone, they would become the new vessel, holding the radiance within, while Hallownest continued its endless decay. The cycle repeated. The dream no more. If the knight first claimed the awoken dream nail, they could strike deeper. They could pierce through the hollow knight's shell and face the radiance herself, high above in a battlefield of light. There, with blade and void, the knight could destroy her, ending the infection once and for all. But this came at a cost, for in that final battle the night was consumed, their form collapsing as the void rose up to devour the radiance. The kingdom was freed, but the night was gone. The embrace of the void. And if the night carried with them the mark of the void, born from the deepest abyss, another fate awaited. For in this ending, the void itself rose to swallow the radiance, not as a single vessel, but as a sea of shadow. The night was no longer just one, but the will of the abyss itself, a god of darkness to end a god of light. And so Hallownest remains, a kingdom buried in stone and silence, a place of dreams, of sorrow, of sacrifice. Some endings grant hope, others grant only endless cycles. But each one whispers the same truth, that the pale king's dream, however bright, was flawed, that gods, no matter how radiant, fade, and that even the smallest among us, silent, nameless, forgotten, may carry the weight of kingdoms on their shoulders. And so ends the tale of Hallownest, the tale of Hollow Night. A kingdom of insects, a dream of glory, a tragedy carved in stone. Remember this, traveler. Sometimes the smallest voice carries the loudest echo, and though Hallownest sleeps, its story will live on in Silksong and beyond. Rest now, for the fire is warm, the night is gentle, and the radiance cannot touch you here. If your heart longs for more tales, simply return to the firelight. You will always find me waiting. Until next we meet, this was the Midnight Owl.